Welcome back into that Sean podcast. And if it seems like I got a little bit more excitement this week, it's because I do. Cat Daddy, tell him why.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the draft week. As of this recording, we are 48 hours away from the start of the draft, and I'm excited. You're excited. I'm excited. Let's get this started.
Also, we're doing something that we've never done before. We got a classic dual mock draft episode. We're attempting a 2-round mock. Now, to Cat Daddy's dismay, because he was very nervous about this, but I told him it would be fun. I lied, but that's okay. So, for the first round, I have the odds and Cat Daddy has the evens. For the second round, we're going to swap that. So, hopefully we can all get a pick for each team, except for, those Chicago Bears, because... well, they're the Chicago Bears. Anyways, without further ado, let's get this party started. And I'm on the clock with the Jacksonville Jaguars. No, I ain't going to make none of those draft sounds. And I ain't going to talk about that dude that no one likes, who apparently gets hugs every year. It's the only time he gets hugs during the year. Whoops. Let's go. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Note, also, I forgot to mention, this is what we would do for these franchise. This is not what we believe is going to happen during the draft. This is not a predictive thing. Watch our draft preview episode if you want to know our predictive stuff, and that has our game in it. You watch that episode. We're not going to explain the game. We're just going to go with what we believe here. And what I believe is that the Jacksonville Jaguars have a potential franchise stud quarterback, and what they need to do is they need to help him out. And how are they going to help him out? I think they're going to get a young tackle who can grow and learn and just, maybe also use some of his nasty streak, great technique. I'm going to give him the big mamma jamma, Evan Neal, out of Alabama. Boom! Pick number 1 in the books.
The big mamma jamma from Alabama. All right.
Like
so that puts me
right off the top of my head.
All right. Well, that puts me at number 2 with the Detroit Lions. And looking at the team, Detroit is building a culture that includes strong work ethic, high character, and I think a need for them is going to be edge, which is great because there's some good edge talent at the top of this draft. Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't fit the bill as far as character that they're looking for in the locker room.
What about Trayvon
He's got
Walker?
Great potential. Yeah, Trayvon Walker, he probably fits the bill both ways, but there is somebody who's already
There's a lunch pail guy
in
out there?
Michigan. What's that?
There's a lunch pail guy out there?
Yeah, there's a lunch pail guy out there that Detroit is hoping Jacksonville passes on, and that is Aiden Hutchinson, edge from Michigan.
Ooh. All right, next up, I have the Houston Texans, and the Texans go a lot of ways. They're hearing rumors of Texans are interested in Derek Stingley Jr. at number 3 overall. Now, note, personally, I think you get him later, if not just as good of a corner. Here's what I'm thinking here, this Houston Texans team. Now, they could go offensive line, but they do have a stud tackle there already. So they could go offensive line later on, or even wide receiver later on, because this is way too early to take a wide receiver. So I'm thinking Lovie Smith, build his defense. Lovie Smith likes freak athletes. So I'm going to give him a freak athlete on the defensive line, because that's, how Lovie builds his teams. So, Trayvon Walker out of Georgia is going to Houston.
Ooh, I like that one.
Man down. Man down. Anyways, moving on from my technical difficulties.
So that puts me on the clock. Number 4, the New York Jets. So I think at this pick, they've got to be looking either edge or cornerback. Offensive line isn't as much of a need. They have a pretty solid offensive line. Could they add to it? They could.
They definitely could.
But with the need on defense, I don't think they go that direction. They got to go defense here. I'm expecting the edge talent to be available at number 10, so I'm looking at cornerback. I want myself a shutdown corner. That way, it's going to make the job a lot easier for my defensive line. So with the number 4 pick, the New York high-flying football Jets are going to select Ahmed Sauce Gardner, University of Cincinnati.
And with that said, the New York Giants are dancing in the street because for the first time ever for a mock with Big Ush and Cat Daddy, they have not been wiped out with the offensive tackle class. Actually, they get their pick of 2 of the top guys. And the guy that they're going to pick is a guy who was the highest riser, probably of almost anybody in this draft. He's young, he's still learning, he does have some nastiness to him also. I'm going Ikem Ikwamu out of North Carolina State.
Good selection by the Giants, and that puts me on the clock number 6 with Carolina Panthers. And I think this might be the first time that the Panthers are not wiped out of offensive tackle talent.
It's still gross.
So this is good for the Panthers. Now, there's been a lot of talk that Carolina could take a quarterback at number 6.
I don't see it.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't, because the quarterback that I think they like the most, Malik Willis, is not a day one starter, and it's not going to help him this year.
It's not going to save their jobs,
sit,
right?
Learn at least one season. It's not going to do much this year. What will make an impact this year and years in the future is if you can draft an offensive lineman to make your offensive line more solid, more productive. That way, Christian McCaffrey has a few more holes. He doesn't get hit quite as much. So, with that being said, the Carolina Panthers are extremely happy that one of the top 3 tackles is still on the board, and Matt Rule has to be racing this card to the podium. Carolina Panthers select Charles Cross, Mississippi State.
All right, next up, we got the Giants again. And the Giants dancing in the street once again. Because guess what? They also need edge help. And guess who's still on the board? One of the freakishest athletes in this draft. He has fallen a little bit, and there were some maybe attitude concerns. Not necessarily attitude concerns, just thoughts that he values his brand more than football. But the dude is a stud player. We've seen him produce. Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon is going to New York. Now I don't envy you at all. Even though I don't envy you. I really don't.
No, I don't envy myself either. I'm up at number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, like the Carolina Panthers, the question is to QB or not to QB?
No.
That is the question. At this point, they need to select the best player available. Their roster has far too many holes for them to take a shot at quarterback right now and allow him to even start.
They could avoid corner. They could possibly avoid corner, but anything else.
Yep. So we're looking at how this draft has fallen so far. So the top 3 offensive tackles are off the board. Mm-hmm. And if one of them were available, you shouldn't pass it up. Let's see. Edge, the top 3 edge talent is gone. I think for me, next up would be a Jermaine Johnson, but I don't know if I want to take him at 8.
And so it's between a certain player or wide receiver.
we're looking best available player, regardless of position,
Oh, then I know who you're going.
Terry Fontenot was with the Saints when they drafted Malcolm Jenkins and Kenny Vaccaro in the first round, and both of those were safeties. And maybe he's not afraid to take a safety early.
Maybe
so I think there will be edge talent available in the second round if I want to get something there. So with the number 8 pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame.
Ooh. All right, I am up with the Seattle Seahawks, the wild card of the draft, and I'm not wasting any time here. They need it to happen. It's going to happen. Malik Willis, come on home. You're going to the Seattle Seahawks. Ba-ba bing, ba-ba bang.
Wow. First quarterback is off the board, number 9 to Seattle. All right, so that puts me on the clock, number 10, with the Jets. Now, my number 4 pick, I ended up taking...
Sauce.
Who did I take? I took Sauce, number 4.
Now you need edge, huh?
Now I need edge. I'd feel better about taking an edge here as opposed to number 8 if I'm a GM. But maybe I don't like Jermaine Johnson that much. And New York Jets have been shopping around that number 10 pick, trying to acquire any receiving talent they can. But to no avail. Nobody's wanted to answer that call. No one's wanted to trade. So the first wide receiver is coming off the board. And it's going to be Garrett Wilson, the Ohio State.
Interesting. Now you've just really upset the Washington football team because they really wanted Garrett Wilson. So now they're reshuffling. Do they like Jameson Williams enough, and do they feel comfortable enough to take him right here? And at the moment, here's the thing. Even with Garrett Wilson, I was wondering, should I do it? Because that's more the same of what they have with Terry McLaurin. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with getting more of the same of what you have, but when your receivers are all deep threats, you know, where's the intermediary routes? So I might consider a different receiver here, or they have a glaring hole someplace else. Receiver is deep in this draft. This other position is not as deep, considering what their needs are. I'm going to take Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU.
And that upsets the Minnesota Vikings, who were
Ain't
really
that the
hoping
truth?
that Derek Stingley Jr. would just slide one more spot.
Also, you had Kyle Hamilton go number 8.
Yeah. All right, so Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. They just saw the top 2 corners come off. At this point,
interior defensive line, maybe.
Maybe. Minnesota, very similar to the Atlanta Falcons. They should be going after best available player. They have a pretty good offense, so despite rumors and mock drafts that include a wide receiver going to Minnesota at number 12, which we believe is nonsense.
Well, I mean, at 12, in the second round or third round, I can see it, but not at 12.
Not a premium pick, not a first round pick. So we need to go best available player, and
I know
right
who's
now,
on my board.
If we're looking at defense, I'm either eyeing Jermaine Johnson, Jordan Davis, or Trent McDuffie. And if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, the need for cornerback is so much greater because I still face Aaron Rodgers twice per season.
This is true.
We're going to be drafting Trent McDuffie, University of Washington.
Corner's just going hot and heavy here. All right, next I've got the Houston Texans up. You know something? They would really like one of these corners to be here. That'd be really nice, you know?
They should have taken Stingley at number 3.
I mean, yeah, now looking at it, they probably should have done that. But considering there is no legit corner on the board, we're going to go rogue. Uh-oh. We're
I don't
going
think anything's rogue. They have needs at every single position. I don't think anything's
completely rogue here for the Houston Texans. We're going to go get a player because they need safety help. They need corner help. We're going to get a player who can play both safety and corner. Yup. Daxton Hill of the University of Michigan is going to the Texans.
All
Woo!
right.
Was
Daxton Hill, he's got the versatility to play both positions. So
and the
that's a
Lovie
good
Smith
add.
defense? Woo!
I'm sure Lovie Smith was hoping Kyle Hamilton would fall a little bit further.
True
But
that.
that's a good get. All right, I'm on the clock. Number 14, Baltimore Ravens. Their injury-riddled season is finally over.
But corner is not available here.
I know.
But
There's
you-
not good corner talent here, but we could look at edge. We could look at offensive line to help Lamar Jackson stay
Good.
upright.
They did get some good news today.
Ooh, what's their good news?
Oh, Ronnie Staley, he had some. He it looks like he's going to be able to return.
Nice. That's good for them. Yes. So, my two options here, I'm looking at either Trevor Penning or
No. Is it too early for him?
I don't know. I could see Penning go here because he's got that
not
mean,
Penning.
nasty
Not Penning.
style.
There's two players I'm seeing that are just pure Baltimore picks, and their needs. But is it too early for them?
Well, the one I'm going with is going to be the big nose tackle from Georgia.
That
He
was
is
one of the
going
ones I was
to
wondering.
create-
The other one I was wondering was Zion. It was Zion.
Yeah, it might be too early for Zion, but it's not too early for Jordan Davis. from
That's a-
Georgia.
That's a pure Baltimore pick. Now we're up with Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is not wasting any time. They're like, Jermaine Johnson is falling in this draft. We need edge. He's the best edge, and he's one of the best players on the board. Let's not overthink this. Bye-bye.
Nice. I'm sure Philadelphia is wishing that Jordan Davis would slide one more spot.
They could wish, but, hey.
All right.
All right,
I'm on the
next up.
clock. Number 16.
Oh, this is you. Come on, this is the spot for him because it looks like the wide receivers are still there. This is the spot for him.
Oh man, New Orleans, another team that's going to look long and hard at a quarterback in the
But
first
ain't gonna
round.
take one.
Sean Payton is gone. The team is going to look completely different. They have Jameis Winston returning. Will he be able to start the season? Will he be the long-term answer?
Hey! Don't be dissing crab legs.
Malik Willis is already off the board, so for me, I don't see a quarterback at 16 for the Saints. I could look at offensive line, but that need for receiver is far too great. And with
I don't know,
Chargers,
but they've got-
Eagles,
They've got two. They got a pick coming in, 2 picks, and there's 3 viable receivers there.
depends on which one they like the most. I mean, I also have 2
I'm just
offensive
saying.
linemen I wouldn't mind taking.
Okay.
in the
Oh, you
next
got
couple
2.
of picks.
Okay. I've only got 1. So tough decision there. We knew what it's going to be, either receiver or offensive lineman.
Receiver. We're going University of Alabama, Jamison
Williams.
Williams.
Wow. All right. Well, you know something? Y'all done screwed up because the Los Angeles Chargers are on the board and they're like doing their happy dance because they're like, what? Mr. Nasty? Mr. Dirty Nasty still on the board? The Chargers missed the playoffs because their right side of their line couldn't do jack all against anyone. So, Trevor Penning, come on down to Los Angeles and help Justin Herbert finally make the playoffs.
Yep, and if Penning is gone here, I could see Los Angeles also going after Zion Johnson. Because they need help at both tackle and guard spot on the right side.
Tackle is a dire need.
But Zion can also play a little bit of tackle too.
He can.
He's got a lot
He
of
can.
versatility. All right, so that puts me on the clock at number 18 with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Still no
So let's
corners.
see. We just drafted Jermaine Johnson edge.
So corner and wide receiver, or even interior offensive lineman. You did mention Zion Johnson.
I
Oof,
did,
Decisions.
but Jalen Reagor is not getting the job done. We need somebody to complement Devontae Smith really well, and
Oh, I already know where he's
I'm-
going.
I'm looking University of Arkansas. Treylon Burks.
Ooh, that is a different way than I thought you were going. Interesting. I don't know if he actually compliments him, but we'll see how
Well,
that
he creates a
goes.
difference. You know, Devontae Smith is more of that smooth route runner who can get open. Treylon Burks is the one who can just be
And
explosive.
they're
once he
still
has the
both
ball.
after the catch guys, though. That's what I mean more so. Like Burks is not a possession receiver, where I'm not poo-pooing the pick, because when you got two guys that you can just throw the ball to and hope that they can just make things happen. I mean, Jalen Hurts is, was it per target is going to be like 5 yards. So I'm up next with the New Orleans Saints, and there is not an offensive tackle that they like. Trevor Penning
There
is
is.
gone.
Yes, there is.
What's that?
There is an offensive tackle they like.
There's not an offensive tackle they like. Not at this point. Who are you looking at that deserves to be drafted at 19?
I've heard some smoke. That is Tyler Smith from Tulsa.
Tyler
They
Smith
really
is
like him.
not being drafted here. He might be drafted there in real life, but in my world, Tyler Smith is not the 19th overall pick. So he's not happening. That being said, looking at the board, let's see. I'm more willing to take a chance on a badass talent who might be a bit of a problem. So, I'm going to give him Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle out of Georgia.
Very nice. Assuming that he keeps the nose clean, no problems.
Let's see what you do with the Steelers.
Oh,
Because, I mean, the glaring player for the Steelers is on the board, but I'd say there's no way you, of all people, take him.
yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Zero chance you take the guy that everybody would put to the Steelers. Zero chance.
Is Mitch Trubisky the long-term answer at quarterback? The answer is no, and that's evident by the contract
I
that
wish
he
he
signed.
would be. You know, we wish he would be, because we wish Mitch success, but we don't see it.
Nope. Sure don't. Sure don't.
Now then you
He's
look at
getting
their other
paid.
needs. Safety.
He's getting paid $14 million over 2 years. That is not starter money. So,
No, it's not.
so
Then you look at their other needs. Safety, not here. Corner, not here. Interior defensive line, not here. Offensive tackle, not here.
but you know who is here? They're finally going to address what they should have last year. We're going offensive line.
Another interior offensive lineman with like the 5 they signed.
This one has the ability to kick to the outside or even move over to center. So we're going to draft Zion Johnson, Boston College.
All right. Next up, we have the New England Patriots. And I'm going to take a New England Patriots pick because I think the New England Patriots are kind of in a weird way. I know you feel differently. I think Bill Belichick is kind of waning. I know he made some sort of magic last year, but I think a lot of what happened around him helped that out. So, with that said, I'm going to take what looks to me as a pure New England Patriots pick, and that is George Karlaftis out of the University of Purdue. There you go.
I like it.
You're
I like the
welcome.
fit. Well, there were two people who I already had in mind if you're going to take anybody else. So that puts me on the clock. Number 22, the Green Bay Packers.
You're welcome.
Wide receiver is the most glaring need. Now, in real life, I am not convinced that Green Bay is going to draft a wide receiver in
They
round
need
one.
to.
Should they if the draft falls this way? Yes. But in real life, will they do it? I'm not completely sold on it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them either trade up or out of the first round with one of their picks. Do need help on defense. Do need help on the offensive line. We're looking for depth there. But with who's available at wide receiver right now on my board, I cannot pass this up and hope that he falls to me at 28.
We won't.
So we are drafting Chris Olave from the Ohio State.
I could have told you wasn't falling. All right, next you're up again with the Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh, yes, that's right. We're doing a little swap because Cowboys are right after. So let's see. Arizona. I'm surprised Cliff Kingsbury received that contract extension this offseason, allowing him more time to be a head coach. But that's neither here nor there. With Chandler Jones gone, you're thinking they have to be looking at edge depending on who falls to them. But we just saw Karlaftis come off the board, and I think he was a fifth edge of this draft so far. So at this point, edge really isn't in play. And
Boye Mafe is out there, but yeah, I agree with you. Now, that being
Yeah.
said, corner
got
is
two.
a major problem, man.
I know.
A major
It is.
problem. I'm looking at their knees. They got corner on here twice.
Because they're that bad. And let's see.
They were starting Marco Wilson last year. He was a 5th round pick.
He was throwing shoes. Yeah. All right. So we're sitting here. Karlaftis is gone. It is tempting to look at the wide receiver position with Drake
It
London
is.
on the board. It's tempting too, but I think you're right with that cornerback position. It's such a huge need that even if you can get an edge player here, it may not entirely help because if there's no coverage, then the defense can't do their job. So for me, the next best corner on the board is Andrew Booth Jr., Clemson.
Ooh, there we go. So next up, I'm up with the Dallas Cowboys. And some people think edge is a need. I actually don't think as much, considering, we have the ultimate Swiss Army knife on the team. Just saying. Now, other people think, oh, yeah, you have to get a guard. I actually think, see, this is what I'm saying. Positional flexibility or positional stacking is what you got to look at. I think guard, interior, it shapes up. There's going to be some good players available in the second round. Right now, only one interior offensive lineman has gone off the board. But how many wide receivers have gone off the board? 5? I think it's been 5.
Yeah, I think 5.
5. So, with that said, now note, personally, I think it would have shaped up differently, but I know you picked a certain player to Philadelphia because you like him more than this other guy. But I'm okay with this because this other guy catches everything And he doesn't have to be a deep threat on Dallas. Dallas has other guys for that. Dallas needs a red zone threat. Well, let's give him the ultimate red zone threat. Drake London, come on down. Let's solve Dallas's red zone issues with one player. Let's solve their moving the chains and red zone issues with one player. That frees up so that people have to sneak up for him, and CeeDee Lamb can do what he does in that other level, and then Michael Gallup can do what he does in that other level. It's beautiful.
All right, and then you're up next with the Buffalo Bills.
That I am. And Buffalo is peeved off right now because most of the corners are gone. The receivers have almost basically been wiped out. It's way too early for a running back, but they do need interior offensive linemen. There's a big brawling mamma jamma still on the board. So Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M is going to Buffalo. Next up, you have the Tennessee Titans. They may be happy and they may be upset at the same time.
Ooh, all right, depends on what they want, what they're looking for. So
Wide receivers wiped out almost. I mean, unless you really like Jahan Dotson. I do not, personally.
No.
I'm just getting Jalen Reagor vibes. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
there's a position of need for them. And the best player's still on the board.
All right, so even with the early playoff exit, the Tennessee Titans are still in win now mode. It's tempting to look at quarterback right here. Just because it's the end of the first round, they have a generally pretty solid team. And are you going to continue to keep Ryan Tannehill on the books for $40 million a year? And I think he's got
I thought it was
2
like
more
35.
years. Yeah, I think it's between 35 and 40. I was rounding up. We could use some offensive line talent. Tackles are gone. I don't feel good about taking a tackle here. Guards are gone. We do have Tyler Linderbaum, though.
Yeah, but do they really need a center?
It's tempting, no. And that's part of the problem is that he's exclusively center. I'm not sure he's going to be able to play guard.
No.
So that makes it a little bit challenging for him. Do I want an edge right here?
There's another spot. Another player that's very dynamic. Another position of need is just, would you take it in the first round?
We're going to go edge if I'm Tennessee.
Ooh. Boye Mafe?
No.
Oh!
We are going Arnold Ibikide from Penn State.
Nice.
That's who we got. We saw what Micah Parsons did. We're like, you know what? There's something in that water in Happy Valley. Let's see if we can tap into that.
All right, next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are kind of mad. They wanted Kenyon Green.
They wanted any offensive lineman to fall.
Well, they just re-signed the center, so they don't need a center.
Yeah. Well, they wanted tackles or they wanted guards to fall to him, but Johnson's gone, Kenyon Green's gone.
At this point, you know something? They could go wide receiver. They could go corner because Kaiir Elam's still on the board, and they do need some corner, but Tom Brady is 40-something years old. They need to continue to protect Tom Brady. So Tyler Smith at the University of Tulsa, or is it Tulsa University? Whatever, is going to the Tampa Bay Bucs.
I like it. That's a good pick for him. Got to keep Tom Brady upright. I know he drinks all that agave and avocado whatnot, but can't let him get hit. Nice pick there.
Don't want to mess up that tan.
Yeah.
All right, next
All right.
up, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, their first pick.
I got the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, Green Bay Packers. I'm
That's
sorry.
who I got.
My brain is off. Green Bay, second pick.
So
in the
we
first
just drafted
round.
Chris Olave, number 22.
Holy
we-
cow.
We either need to look defense or offensive line. I don't feel good about the offensive line talent at this spot.
Look who's still on the board there, though. There is a premium edge rusher still on the board.
Premium. Who are we calling premium?
I think he is. I think he has the ability to grow into a premium edge rusher. I'll say the name after you pick.
Okay. As much as I would want to take edge here, and I think I might know
Or-
who you're talking about.
Woo!
I'm
Or if the Green Bay Packers think they are good enough to take a player to possibly kick the can and have him available for the playoffs, they could get a real premium talent.
They could. I imagine that second player you're talking about is David Ajabo.
It is David Ajabo.
All right. Is the first player Boye Mafe?
The first player was Boye Mafe.
All right. I'm still focusing defensive line, and we struggled against the run. Now, the numbers looked good last year just because so many teams were playing catch up and they were abandoning the run, just throwing a lot. But we need to stop the run. And one guy I've really started to love more and more in this draft is from the University of Connecticut's defensive tackle, Travis Jones.
Ooh, there you go.
I'm happy if we can walk out the first round with Olave and Travis Jones. I'm celebrating.
All right, so next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. And you know something? I'm going to be a dickhead. And I'm going to make it difficult for Cat Daddy over there. And I'm going to say they take Kaiir Elam, cornerback out of Florida. So I kicked the can for the wide receiver talk to Cat Daddy.
All right, so they take Kaiir Elam. All right, now with the depth at wide receiver.
Hold on, let's just let people know. I do not believe KC picks either of these picks. I think they package a pick and they move up in this draft. They've got 6 picks in the first 3 rounds of this draft. No way they take all 6.
No, I kind of feel the same way with Green Bay. I think they have 9 picks in this draft. I don't think they're making 9 selections.
The Cowboys
They're
have
making
4
less.
fifth-round picks. Why? But for KC, right here, what wide receiver are you taking?
I'm not necessarily looking at wide receiver.
I know.
because it's so deep that it's tempting to take a wide receiver here, but
You know where I'd go with this, right?
I know where I'm going.
You know where I'd
And-
go? I wonder if we're going to the same spot. I'll tell you after you're done.
All right. So this is a luxury pick. Not many teams get 2 first-round selections, so there's not as much pressure on that second pick. And Kansas City Chiefs need edge help. We may not need it right away.
All
we could
right.
use it later in the year. The Kansas City Chiefs draft David Ajabo from Michigan.
You know where I would have went?
Who's that?
Louis Sean.
That'd be a good one for the safety, Phil. Yeah.
Louis Sean, I just, something that they're missing that guy. But onward bound, you pick David Ajabo. That's a good pick. They are one of those teams that can kick that can and hope that David Ajabo can give them some juice for the playoffs. Maybe he's not off sides all the time like Frank Clark. Whoops. Anyways, now I have the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to be honest with you, offensive line was a problem. I get it. They need corner. I don't like Kyler Gordon that much. I really just don't. You could go safety. Yeah, Louis Sean would be nice here. But I like the safety they have. So I'm going to give him Tyler Linderbaum. I don't think he needs to drop out of the first round. I think he's going to be a great fit here. Boom. There you go. Be happy.
You know what the funny thing is?
That was not directed at anybody.
The funny thing here is Tyler Linderbaum is not the first Tyler drafted. Tyler
he's not.
Smith from Tulsa was. It's crazy to think that Tyler Linderbaum is so good, but that
It's the
position he
size.
plays.
It's the size concerns. That's what it is. It's the size concerns. All right, now
That-
you're
what,
up
the
with
dinosaur
Detroit.
arms? Yeah.
So I know what
Detroit
I'd do,
Lions.
but you tell me what you do for Detroit here.
All right. So earlier in this draft, we selected Aiden Hutchinson. It was a good pick.
It's
The
very good.
crowd went wild. But now we're sitting at 32. And this is the spot where I eye a quarterback.
And there's one quarterback that I would take for Detroit specifically, but you tell me which one you like.
None. The answer is none. I don't like any quarterback, but I'm going to select one for them anyways. Let's see.
No, I actually like this guy here. Give him a chance to possibly sit if he needs to with Goff there,
Yeah.
and get that 5th-year option. And I mean, but no, I'm not going to jump on your parade. You go ahead.
Who I would select if I were Detroit Lions. We don't need the quarterback to do anything spectacular. We need somebody who can manage the game, move the chains, get the offense rolling, and with the character that we're looking for, I think a good fit for them would be Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ridder, really? Wow.
I don't like it any more than you do.
That's the last dude. I would have actually picked Sam Howell for them. For Detroit specifically. I think he's got that mentality for them, personally. But Desmond Ridder's got a prototypical size and all that. He's going to need a lot of seasoning to get his processor going. I think Sam Howell's processor is better. He just needs footwork.
Yep. And I don't like the idea of taking quarterbacks in round 1 in this draft, and we saw 2.
2. Something tells me there's going to be more than 2 that go in this draft.
Yeah. Positional
Neil
value.
Ritter's probably going to Pittsburgh. But anyways, that was the first round. So we're going to say adios. Come back around for round 2. All right, people? I want to see you there.